What's cooking, everyone? It's Dave Altizer here with Kinetica. Today we're talking about the newly released Canon SL2. A couple of years ago, Canon released the world's smallest DSLR, the SL1, and people have been wondering for a while if Canon would ever update the model. Well, this summer we got a new release, the Canon SL2 here. Spoiler alert, I think this is the best deal and one of the best cameras that Canon makes today. We've got a 24.2 megapixel sensor inside this camera, the Digic 7 processor. You've got an actual fully articulated flip out screen. The camera shoots 1080p up to 60 frames per second, and it has a burst rate of about 5 frames per second. Recently, Canon has been experimenting with the mirrorless line of cameras. The M5 and the M6 in particular are very interesting and really great cameras, but there's a lot of downfalls with them. You have to buy all new mirrorless lenses from them, and their mirrorless lens lineup is really sad. There's really not many options available. This camera is honestly no bigger than the M6 or M5, maybe slightly bigger, but you get the benefit of having an actual full EF mount on here. And you get a mirror, so there's no delay when you're looking through the viewfinder. Personally, I'm really excited to see how this camera does in a real world environment, so let's go downtown and see how it performs. So we're in Nashville, Tennessee right now. As you can see, the Nashville skyline. It is about 7 o'clock at night. We're gonna do some tests with the SL2, see how it handles in low light, see how it handles with video, photo, all sorts of cool stuff. Let's go. So obviously the first thing that comes to mind with the SL2 is the size. It really feels like a miniaturized 80D. All right, so now we're gonna do some tests with the ISO settings. I turned the noise reduction off. So let's start with ISO 400. And then crank it up to ISO 800. Now with these Rebel cameras, they don't give you little incremental adjustments. It just goes from 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200. They don't have those little in-between stages like 320 and 640 and stuff like that. But we'll crank it up to 1600. Looking good. Obviously we're not seeing much of the skyline because it's pretty dark. 3200. That looks pretty good. We are starting to see some pretty bad noise in the shadows. 6400. Again, pretty bad noise in the shadows. And then 12,800 should be pretty terrible. Yes, as I expected. And then let's go all the way up to 25,600. So no surprises here. We don't have the best noise performance. However, this is much better than even the 7D used to be. I remember that was my first camera. It was not performing this well. That's because of the newer sensor, the newer processing that's in this camera. It's pretty dang good. I just ran into Andrew. He's a amateur / professional photographer. Right. And where are you from?
I'm from California.
California, nice. What are you rocking tonight? What do you got?
I have a Canon 6D, and I also have a 24-70 Canon L lens with it.
I just wanted to get Andrew's first impressions perspective of this SL2. I'm gonna hand it to you, and first off, I just want you to feel, here I can hold that. I just want you to feel how light that is. Check it out. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it feels like a mirrorless. A friend of mine has a mirrorless. It's even lighter than his mirrorless. So to say what I like about this camera is that you actually can put a real lens on it.
Yeah, let's try it. You want to put your...
Yeah, I gotta turn this one off. The mirrorless that Canon has right now, you can't use a standard lens on it. You have to get their specialized lenses, use the adapter. I mean, if you're gonna spend $1,700, $1,900 for a lens, you want to use it, and you don't want to use an adapter.
So check it out. We got this $1,700 amazing Canon lens on here, and it mounts perfectly. You're gonna have all full autofocus.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It's pretty cool. $500.
Actually, that's worth buying.
I know.
Wow.
Anyways, Andrew, thank you so much for being in this video. And check him out on Instagram. I'll put his tag under the video here. So one of the best things about this camera is it has a flip out screen for those selfie shots. One of the biggest selling features of this camera is YouTubers and vloggers who need something small, lightweight, and quick. This thing has the speed of all the top of the line cameras with the dual pixel autofocus. As you can see, it's completely tracking my face, which is amazing. It's got a mic input, which is fantastic. And it's about the size of a Panasonic GH5, like a Sony A7S. It's fantastic. You get the amazing color science of the Canon cameras, you get the dual pixel autofocus, and a mic input. Unfortunately, it's not 4K video, but the 1080 is okay. The only difference is with this camera and the 80D, which is shooting me, oh man. So the only difference between this and like an 80D would be the fact that the mic input is kind of in an awkward place. I can't flip the screen around without going back and flipping it around. The 80D has a headphone jack. It also can record in the all-I codec. This camera can only record in the IPB codec. So right now I'm testing out the autofocus on this camera. It looks amazing. I've got the dual pixel face tracking mode going on. It looks great. The low light's decent. But yeah, it looks great for vlogging. You don't have the sensor stabilization that some of the other cameras have, but with a nice lens like this 10-18 with IS, gets the job done. So another thing with the video on this camera is you can record at 60 frames per second in 1080. So that means nice slow motion, it's not 120 frames per second, but it's decent. Shooting at 60 really smooths out your shots, but always make sure to move a little bit faster than you normally would. So I've been shooting with this 10-18mm lens, which isn't really the best lens, but I did bring an 85mm prime manual focus lens. So I'm gonna slap that on and see how pretty we can make this look. Lenses are the secret sauce to any camera. Buy a cheap camera like this, invest in some good glass, that's how you get good images. Beautiful. So one kind of downside with having a DSLR, especially when you're using manual glass, is you don't have the benefit of focus peaking that some of the mirrorless cameras have, like the M5 and the M6. And so I'm really eyeballing all this. Because I'm shooting with a manual focus lens right here, it is tough to nail focus because I don't really have any confirmation telling me whether I'm in or not. Let's test out the time-lapse features, but first, howdy doody, man. So one really cool thing about this camera is that it has a built-in time-lapse mode. Now a lot of the other Canon cameras do have that feature built in, but it's great to have it in such a low-budget camera like this. It's only 1080p, but it looks pretty good. So, as the king of rock and roll would say, this camera, the SL2, is fantastic. Let's go back to the studio. Nashville was fun. We got some great shots, some great video, and I had a really good time testing this thing out, putting it through its paces. What are the takeaways and who is this camera for? Well, first off, this camera is for two different types of people. One is an amateur starting out, needing a new camera, something better than their phone that wouldn't be too obtrusive to carry around to a soccer game, to a dinner party, different things like that. And then secondly, I think this camera is for amateur and professionals who need a smaller body, but want to keep using all the same glass that they have. That's one of the amazing things about this camera is you get the benefit of a mirrorless body size, but you can still use all of your manual focus EF glass, you can use your L series glass, and obviously some of the smaller APS-C crop sensor lenses as well. Also, I honestly think one of the largest markets for this camera is YouTubers and vloggers. As a YouTuber and vlogger myself, I know that having a camera that is half the weight of my 80D, that has a mic input and a flip out screen with the dual pixel autofocus is really everything that I've been wanting. So when it comes to vlogs and YouTubers, I really think this camera is the best available and it would be the first on my list of recommendations. So you can buy this camera in two different models, one body only for $549 and the other comes with an 18-55 kit lens. Hope you guys enjoyed this video of the Canon SL2. I know I had a lot of fun making it and playing with this new camera. I think it's amazing. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and let me know if you have any questions or comments about the new Canon SL2. I'm Dave Altizer. Catch you next time.